since you work on some stuff in Windows, basically know how to build your own system. Do you think there will be a possibility to have a new or different desktop environment in Windows? Not officially, because Microsoft hates fun. Speaking of which, I mean, they kind of. There's always the problem with Windows. And if you really want to get in and tinker and build your own system, man, you just can't beat Linux for that, because you can change anything and everything. There's a couple things that you're just going to have to always deal with in Windows. Specifically, the taskbar, the start menu. Like, this has even gotten more since the conversion to UWP. This has gotten even more unchangeable. And the Windows Explorer, this you can sub out, but a lot of times when you're changing some of these options Microsoft has chosen for you, you can't replace them. You can only build on top of them, and that always feels ugh. One of the things that people have been mentioning in chat, actually, I shouldn't have closed that thing, but one of the things that they were mentioning in chat was Komorebi Window Manager. Yeah. Oh, no. Or how the hell do you say that thing? It has a terrible name, so I already think it's going to be good. That's typically how these things work. There we go. Tiling Window Manager for Windows. Tons of commits. I've done this project before and actually used it a little bit. And it's a tiling window manager directly in Windows. This guy that made it right here is a masochist with gaps bigger than the Grand Canyon. Holy crap, look at these window gaps. That's just so much wasted real estate. Jeez. Lordy. Bro, what are you working on? Like a 4K monitor? Like, why would you have such big gaps? That's just insanity. Anyways, maybe this was like a Windows selector window or something. I don't know. That's weird. Anywho, very, very cool. I think, oh, geez. What? Let's see. Milky Toast. Just so you don't have to manually get 10 workspaces, will reduce the padding in Komorebi. This is a must. Okay. So I think Phoenix sent me something in Discord with what I need. I'm going to download that file and download the JSON file. And you can see these two things. It's an RC file and a JSON. So we'll try those two things out. And this is kind of what it does, just so you get an idea. He's starting it up as a service. Probably will do this as a Windows service. And then it just auto tiles, which is kind of nice. I am using 2 monitors here, so I'm kind of curious to see how it handles that. What else do we have? Everything else looks good. I like it. All right, cool. What's the quick start? Here's a walkthrough video. Nah. Walkthroughs, nah. We could just do it. Scoop. Highly recommended that you enable support for long paths. I think I already do this, but let's just make sure. Long file paths, I agree. I don't know why this is still a thing. Why, by default, does Windows limit paths and file names to 255 characters? It is 2024. Why is that still a thing? Like, even in Windows 11, long paths enabled, I think the default value is 0. Why? It drives me crazy. So anyways, I always do this tweak. And every single business machine I've ever set up, that's typically a tweak I always do. I want to say it's in the toolbox. If not, we need to add this. Let's just take a peek. Now that I'm sitting here, I'm like, I really want to make sure that's in the toolbox, because I do that all the time. So let's take a look at our WinUtil. Yeah. And we're just going to go into the tweaks JSON. Let's see. Long file paths. Yeah, there it is. I was about to say, I know I do that, but I just want to double check. So that's the telemetry tweaks is where it gets applied. Great. That's already there. I figured it was, but I thought I'd at least look. And then the quick start recommends using a static configuration file. We will use the WHKD that was linked in chat. This is the RC file. I don't know how that differs. And the JSON file. Interesting. I think I already have scoop, but we'll go ahead and do that. Let's go by line by line. Yeah, I will. I need to do injecting drivers with micro in. It's on my to-do list. No, it's just a default King root. There's no reason to do it as a toggle because there's no downside to having long path enabled. Everyone should have it enabled. Your dad should have it enabled. Your grandfather should have it enabled. You should have it enabled. Microsoft should have it enabled. Like, the reason why it doesn't come enabled by default, it's just, I don't know. I don't understand. It's a quality of life fix that literally benefits everyone in the entire world. There's not one instance or one scenario I can think why you wouldn't have long path enabled. So no toggle. It's just going to be enabled. You run my tweaks, it will enable it for you. Period. That's just my thoughts. All right. So we have these programs installed. Komorebi. Now let's take a peek. You could do it through Winget as well, but we just did it in Scoop. Save the configuration file to home Komorebi JSON. Now, what is environment user profile? I want to say that's just Titus. So we're actually in there. So if we, can we just echo that? You can see user subscribe is the base file. So the base configuration for Komorebi, if we look at our downloads, you will see we have the, let's just move Komorebi, and we'll put that back a directory and come back to our home. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, my God, Titus, why are you using Linux commands in Windows? Because they're better. And you should feel bad if you don't already do that with your PowerShell profile. I was just checking. So the reason why, I know Phoenix is like, it's just the user. But this sometimes ends up being something different. So Microsoft accounts sometimes can change your user folder to not necessarily be the working one from like downloads. It's weird. OneDrive can also mess with your environment user profile. So watch out for OneDrive. There's a lot of little gotchas. So even though it seems silly, hey, what's my home folder in Windows? The truth can be a little weirder than you think. That's why it's always good to just be like, hey, this is where it should be. Let's just echo and make sure. And I do mess around a lot on this system. I haven't formatted this Studio PC Windows section in over a year now, so I've done God knows what to it. And eventually I probably will wipe this out and redo it. But I'll probably wait for another couple feature updates and something breaking, and then I'll be like, okay, it's time. So we got our main JSON Komorebi file right here. This is the, what is this? This is the generated one. Okay, fine. Let's go into the JSON file. This is what was downloaded. The schema is grabbing it from a raw GitHub. The rest is going to be applications.yaml for application-specific configuration path. Cloak for Windows behavior. Default padding 4, which even 4 pixels seems too much to me. Call me a minimalist, but I like 2 or 0. I like my windows like just sandwiched together where you don't even see your desktop. I know. I'm more of a minimalist in that. We have our active window border colors. That's fine. We have our monitors. This we might need to change. I do have 2 monitors. And right now it looks like we only have 5 workspaces. Roman numerals 1 through 5. Okay. Interesting. Use 4 because some applications will collide. Ultra wide vertical stack. Okay. You can try it out. And then we have our WKHD file we still have. Save the latest specific app. Okay. I don't think this is going to be anything, but let's just run it to see. See what we have. No subcommand fetch. Okay. Make sure the .config file exists. Sure. That's fine. Save a sample WHKRC file with bindings to config. So we could do the sample one, but we're not gonna. We're gonna grab the one that was sent to me in my Discord. We'll take a peek at it as well. So let's first just make sure we have. Oh, that doesn't exist. Do we have a .config? Okay. We do have WHKRC right there. Huh. Oh, is that's a file. That's not an actual directory. Interesting. So this is the hotkeys. Alt-1, Alt-Shift-1, move. I don't know about using Alt. Can I change Alt to Win key? I don't really like Alt. I'm just thinking out loud. Let's go to our downloads and WHKDRC. What's this one look like? It looks very similar to the one that's already there. Alt-Shift, Alt-1, Alt-X, Alt-Y, retile, Alt-Shift-R. Alt-O is killing it and then relaunching. Alt-Shift-O. It's kind of a weird... Alt-Shift-O. Why would it be like Alt-Shift-R for reload? I mean, it's not the worst. So we're going to go move that over into .config. WHKD. All right. Remove .config. WHKD. Let's move that. All right. So that's all good to go. I think we're ready to launch. And then we just do a start. All right. Hold on to your butts. Did not like that. All right, fine. Await configuration, TCP port, FFE. Doesn't look like it accepts any of these arguments that were listed in this in the instructions. Okay. Well, let's try it. Start. Actually, I think we can just do this. We'll just erase. See what this looks like. Okay, it started. Cool. So that gives that. So then let's open up a new window. Let's say we open up VS Code. Restore down. Okay. I mean, it just feels gross. I'm not gonna lie. Let's launch Explorer. I mean, it's okay. So we got the bindings to switch between, so let's close that out. Yeah. Okay. And then switch back to 1, 2. Makes sense. I get it. I guess why I say it feels gross is because like when I launch VS Code and then you go full screen, it just kind of just takes over. You know, this should be like in its own workspace, and now it's floating. I get why this is the case. So like Alt-Shift-3 should push this to, oh, well, never mind. It grabbed that. So this, let's focus this. Let's change this to Alt-Shift-4. So this is 4. This is 3. This is 4. This is 2. This is 1. It's not Linux. It feels like it just feels like a bad imposter. You know, here's the perfect analogy I can make you that makes you understand it. How many people actually eat cereal, right? It might be an American thing, so fellow Americans probably can relate. Europeans probably not so much. But I'm going to make the analogy anyways. So you know how you get like Fruit Loops from the store? Fruit Loops is how it feels when you eat a Fruit Loop. You're like, yeah, okay, that's Fruit Loops. That's Linux with like DWM or like a good window manager, you know? Any window, BSPWM, you could name a lot of them. That's a window manager. And then you go to the store and you cheap out and you buy the Multi-Meal special O's that are just Fruit Loops rebranded with like, that just don't taste quite right. Well, that is window managers on Linux or on Windows. Windows managers on Windows is just, it feels weird. Like this, just like how you go like maximize. So we got that behind, but it's just a little bit off, and it depends on the application and how it launches. That, yeah, it's not the same. It's close, but man, it just doesn't taste quite right. That's kind of where I'm at with it. It's I like the idea. It still works a lot better than virtual desktop. So by no means am I crapping on the project here. I'm just telling you how I'm feeling about it after trying it. It works. It's pretty good. It's pretty snappy. I do like its implementation a lot better than virtual desktops, because virtual desktops is kind of like a bastardized version of workspaces from Linux. This is kind of like a bastardized version of a tiling window manager at the same time, but at least it's better than the workspaces implementation on Windows with virtual desktops. Same goes for mission control and Mac as well. Sorry, Mac users, but all two of you that watch me will be offended by that, but probably not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't still use Chesmoy. Verma, I've just, these days, I'm just like, I don't care. I'm just going to put everything on OneDrive, and that OneDrive gets mounted into my home folder, and then I just never wipe anything out. So whenever I'm distro hopping or something, I just have that OneDrive that's always my home folder. You can use Super with AutoHotkey. Yeah, that's probably not bad. Yeah, don't forget the most important things. Windows isn't Linux, so don't expect Windows or Linux. Yeah, I think that's probably a good point. I think Marie makes a very valid point here. This is a Linux user complaining about window managers in Windows. If you're a Windows user and you kind of want to feel like, what would a tiling window manager be like? This project is amazing. You're going to be like, dude, this is the best thing since canned beer. But if you're a Linux Windows tiling window manager coming to Windows trying this out, you're going to be like, ugh. And it would be the very same thing as a Windows user coming to Linux and then trying Windows programs and like loading up Adobe Acrobat and going, why doesn't this work quite right? Or trying like Microsoft Office 365. You're not going to have a good time. You're going to be like, Linux. What a bunch of weirdos just use Linux. And very much the same thing. You cannot expect Windows to work like Linux, and you can't expect Linux to work like Windows. Such a good point. So, yes, I think that's good. Canned beer isn't good. I know, but I still like using that as an analogy. I should probably change that to sliced bread, but sliced bread actually isn't that good for you either. So, yeah, I don't know what to use. Yeah, I ran it. I think it was the first 60 days, really. It took me a while before I was okay with GIMP, which is kind of funny. This window manager is kind of cool, though. I would definitely recommend, if you are a Windows user and you want to try a tiling window manager, I think if you get used to it, you will really like it. I do need to change those gaps, though, dude. Those gaps are just a sin against humanity. All right, let's put this to Windows 2. Where's our gaps? All right, default workstation padding, container padding, border width. Let's go I would say like 2, something like that. All right. And then to reload, Alt-Shift-O. Did that reduce it? I didn't even... I don't know. Did that reduce it? I don't think it did. Alt-Shift-O? No. Well, let's try it again. Let's just change it all to 0. No padding. Or is the padding that much? All right. Alt-Shift-O. No, I think you got to relaunch it or something. The reload command's not working. Sometimes you have to reboot. God. It's such a Windows thing. You make a change. I changed the font. Time to reboot. It's Windows. All right. Oh gosh. All right. That's just funny right there. Let's change that padding back. Oh god. All right. Well, that's just Windows things. I like the project though. Thank you guys for sharing it. I know I sounded like I was down on it, but nah, it's cool. It's cool. I like the switching between the workspaces, being able to like launch, let's go Windows E, launch it over here, be able to swap between the two. That's pretty cool. Oh, actually, yeah, I did actually change it. You didn't need to reboot. It did reload. You just have to close the existing windows. Let's just take it. Oh no. Yeah, so if you close that, let's grab another window. It's kind of janky. I bet a reboot would fix it though. Because you can see the padding difference, right? Dude, look at that padding though. 4 as a default. Developer needs to stop smoking. What's he got? Like he must want to like have like a really wallpaper he's super proud of or something. I don't know. Because 4 padding is just crazy sauce. Or maybe he has a 4K monitor. I am on 1080p, so that's probably not fair. I'm not going to judge that much. It's definitely not 4 pixels, that's for damn sure. Yeah, the workspace is fine. It's fine. It works. Oh, jeez. That was fun. That's a fun one. Yeah, I'll split this into 2 streams. We'll do the pull request, 2 videos. We'll do the pull request as one, and then we'll do exploring tiling window managers on Windows on another video on Old Titus Tech Talk for this one. But it was a fun one. A little short stream today. I just wanted to get through those. I thought honestly this is going to be a 3 or 4 hour stream. Hell, it could have been a 5-hour stream with as much as we had, but we just jammed right through everything. Explored some window managers. Yeah, I think that's very interesting. As far as window managers on Windows, yeah, no, I mean, I'm not sold on that. I feel like you're just kind of inviting some issues there, and I don't know how I would approach that. I don't think I'd recommend it. But if you do want to experience it, it's not that bad. That's my full review. Fun little stream. But all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna shut it down for the day. I'll probably start streaming soon. I gotta make some videos. I have like 3 videos I have to absolutely make for old YouTubers. And once I get those made, I will stream probably some game streams coming up. But I don't know when the next one will be. Probably sometime this weekend. Maybe tomorrow, depending on how fast I can make those videos. We'll see how it goes. I don't know on NixOS. It's going to be a little bit since until I come around NixOS again. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'll load it up, Phoenix. I don't mind having it running in the background as long as the padding gets fixed. I don't really know how it'll work that well, but I'll tinker with it some more. Maybe make a video on the main channel on it, but it's okay. It's okay. That's my review. You know, We're gonna quit a little early. Why did you like SUSE less? When it comes to OpenSUSE, I liked it. I thought it did everything right. It ticked all the boxes. I think at the end of it was just some of my bias heading into it, knowing that there's a big company behind the distro kind of turns me off. A lot of times when I get on Linux, I like the fact that I like community distros, Debian, Arch, all community run distros are like I enjoy. And the ones that are hosted by these big companies, I'm always kind of like, I'm kind of hesitant to recommend or suggest, just because the past couple of years with these big companies in Linux, I don't know, just kind of reminds me of Microsoft's influence a bit. And if I want that, I'd just run Windows, So it's more of a corporate thing. And that's kind of why. Because, it's like cleansing the palate too. When I'm in Windows, hey man, I know what to expect. It never really changes. There's always little things that bug me, but it's Windows, and it's pretty much nothing happens, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's surprising. More times it's like, oh, there goes Microsoft again, Microsoft being Microsoft. But with Linux, I kind of like to cleanse the palette and have a whole different setup. That's why it's always so different. I'm never trying to make my Linux look like Windows anymore. You'll notice I haven't really done like a KDE install and be like, hey, look, Windows and Windows, it's just like Windows and Linux. I'm like, nah, I'm not trying to do that. And mainly because I just like a completely different feel and a creativity that comes into Linux and those types of things when I'm using it. So that's why I kind of do things a little different in Linux, and I know it drives people crazy. People like, it's so much easier if you just use, Cinnamon or KDE or GNOME, and I'm like, I know, but that's my thought process. I feel like community Linux doesn't exist. Yeah, it's hard. I would say Arch and Debian are as close as you can get to it, but they do sometimes feel a little bit heading towards the company route. But they aren't there, and they're still a community run distro technically. So I like it. I like that feel. So, and tiling window managers are addictive, and I think the big problem with tiling window managers is in Linux is you're never done. You always think, oh, I could optimize it. I'm this close from making the perfect system for me. But are you? You're never really there. It always feels like, oh crap, oh, that's a little gotcha. I gotta fix that, or I gotta tweak this. And as long as you like doing that, which I do, that's why a lot of times I run them. But it's never really... because your tastes change and maybe your browser changes, and you're always changing stuff in the tiling window world, and it's part of the fun of it. I think it's more of a hacking kind of fun tinkering setup that I love. So that's the thing. Yeah, the skill floor is again pretty high as well when it comes to tiling windows. But I'd say every tinkerer should try tiling window managers. It's like a game on itself, and it's just so much damn fun. I love it. Yeah, it took you 4 years for me to try DWM, and I do love DWM, even to this day. I still got to try DWM in Windows. Someone linked it earlier in chat. I think it was Faye. So I'll check that out one of these streams too. I wasted my 1 year to manage DWM 2 hours a day. Hey, once you compile DWM, it's good. It's good. Oh, man. You're never satisfied by your present config, and there's always a scope for a better setup. I think so. And I think that's just... once you start tinkering with something like that, and you realize, hey, you can change everything, like, it's hard not to. It's that itch that you're like, Sometimes you get, like, the perfect config. Like, I think I've had the perfect config where I'm like, everything works, everything looks nice, and everything just goes exactly how I want it to go. But inevitably, I'll do something like that you can't do on Windows. Like, I'll look at this title bar and I'm like, I'm really bored of this start bar. Tray icons over here, start menu here. It's just meh. And then you're like, File manager's kind of boring. I guess you could change your browser in Windows, but you can't really move and change a whole lot. You can tack on top of it and kind of put a different coat on things, sure. But you really can't mess around too much with it. You can change like the shell components. If you really want to get technical, I know there'll be some guy that comments and goes, well, I use a shell editor and change these things. Yeah, I know you can do that, but it's just silly. A lot of times there's just very immovable things in Windows. In Linux, you just get, hey, you want to change your bootloader? Do it. You want to get rid of your display manager? Do it. You want to just whatever you can think up, you can do. And there's just no limitations. And that's what is a blessing, but also sometimes a curse. So, all right. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there. I am going to get out of here and be productive and do something. But I'm glad you guys stopped by for the short stream today. It was a fun one. I liked it. It was good. We'll see what Tuesday has in store for us. Linux is rocking right now. What was the last Linux install I did over there? I can't remember. Am I still on Nix OS? I think I'm still on Nix. I think on Nix on the old studio PC still. I haven't really messed around with it too much. I've actually been in Windows a whole bunch. Just keeping it real. But I have been doing a lot more virtualization stuff. That was like Tuesday's stream. So, all right, guys. I'm out. Peace. Have a fantastic weekend. If you see me streaming this weekend, again, it'll probably be just me messing around on Age of Empires 4. Still addicted to that RTS. Love it. Even though I'm getting better, though. Getting better. I'm in the top 25%. Hit Platinum 1. So, yeah. Gaming on AoE 4 on Linux. Yes. Yes, we'll set it up soon for sure. All right, y'all. Peace. For the third, fourth time. But hey, I mean it this time.